So being nice and helping people out should result in better relationships, right? But did you know that if you're too nice or help people out too much, it could actually be disconnecting you from those you want to be close to? Hi, I'm Dr. Julie, psychologist and relationship coach, and today I want to talk with you about the problems with people pleasing. In general, doing good things for people is a good thing, right? And I'd be the last person to tell you to stop doing that. Except that if you do it too much, it's probably costing you more than benefiting you. And what I'd like to do is see if I can help you figure out where that line is and when you're crossing over from being a good friend to people pleasing. So, when does helping other people out become a problem? And what kinds of problems show up when it goes too far? Sometimes these problems can be kind of subtle or sneaky, and you might not even know you've got them because maybe you're successful in at work, you've got a good close group of friends, and people generally like you. You're pretty confident with yourself. Things seem to be going okay. So, what's there to fix, right? Well, let me break this down into a couple of categories because the problems show up in a couple of different ways. I've got a list of 10 issues that might crop up. I divide them into two categories. I divide them into you problems and other people problems, 5 in each category. And if any one of these is showing up in your life, especially with any regularity or around any one particular person or situation, it might be time for you to consider whether or not your contribution to that is a habit of people pleasing, because you might be discovering that you've got a bit of a problem with people pleasing. Okay, so we're going to start with you problems, and then we're going to talk about other people problems. You problems. The first you problem is that you feel responsible for things that are out of your control. Things like whether or not other people are happy with you. You can't control other people's emotions or reactions to things, but you're going to try. I know I did for a really long time. Now, if you do that, you're going to develop a host of emotional reactions that are pretty unpleasant to live with. One of which would be anxiety, because when we try to control things that we can't control, we can feel pretty anxious. But then after a while, that could possibly make us feel pretty depressed because we're so discouraged, and or resentful because we're trying our hardest and nothing's working, and can't the other person just understand that we're trying, right? Then with all of that can come a sense of feeling burdened or taxed. I'm trying to do the things that I believe are important for relationship, and I don't have time for myself. And plus, half the things I'm doing don't seem to get me where I want to go. People are still unhappy. Things still aren't working well. And so I'm feeling overwhelmed and exhausted and burned out. Another thing that can crop up is the fear of rejection. This happens when we start expecting or wanting other people to validate that we did a good job. And then we fear that they're not going to validate it. So sometimes we will hold back or not do things because we're afraid that other people will disapprove in some way. And this is good in relationships if you are trying to navigate other people's feelings to a point, but you shouldn't be so afraid of rejection or disapproval that it's hampering you from showing up in the relationship. Okay, the fifth thing on the list is all of this can really impact your confidence and self-esteem. So you might have a low sense of self-esteem. You might not really know who you are. It might really impact your ability to show up in relationships in an authentic way. I can talk. And so this problem with people pleasing could have a big impact on your ability to be who you are and to know who you are, right? Okay, so those 5 things: feeling responsible for things that are outside your control, having big emotional reactions like anxiety, depression, or resentment, feeling burdened, overwhelmed, or exhausted. Number 4, fear of rejection. And number 5, low self-esteem, loss of identity, difficulty with being authentic, that kind of thing. Okay, those are big problems. I want you to see if any one of those are showing up in any one area of your life, because it doesn't have to be all of them, and it doesn't have to be in every area of your life for you to be having an issue. Okay, let's look at other people problems. Now, these are problems that are showing up in relationships with you and other people. And one of my favorites is this idea where you're the responsible one, right? This can happen at work where you're the person that people bring things to get done well, to get done on time, right? Because you know how to do all this stuff. And so people come to you. And even if they don't want you to do the task, they want you to tell them how to do it or to reassure them that they're doing a good job, that kind of thing. So being the responsible person really does create a bit of a burden. Part of the issue here is that you might have a problem with saying no or setting limits around certain things. Now, this can result in unintentional activities on the part of your friends and family that result in you feeling taken advantage of. I wouldn't necessarily think that they're doing it on purpose, although some people will. But if this is showing up in a more subtle way in your life, it's probably more just that you haven't been good at setting boundaries. And so people think it's okay, right? Okay, so being the responsible one and being taken advantage of by friends or family comes out of the next three items on the list, which are problems saying no, problems handling conflict, and problems saying what you want. And any of those all feed into difficulties with limit setting, around boundaries, and expressing your desires, showing up in the relationship in that way. Okay, so being the responsible one, being taken advantage of, problem saying no, problem saying what you want, problems handling conflict. Those are the 5 other people problems you might have with if you've got a habit of people pleasing. Okay, oddly enough, any one of these issues can cause disconnection in your relationships. And that's because if you're always saying yes and you don't tell other people what you want, you avoid conflict and you don't let people know where you're at with things, they don't really know you. They enjoy your company. They appreciate your thoughtfulness and what you're doing for them, but they don't know how to show up for you. If they try to be thoughtful of you, it's almost hard for them because they can't really figure out what you want because you haven't told them. You haven't told them what you desire. You haven't told them your problems. You haven't told them what drives you crazy. And this is what I mean when I say if you're in a habit of people pleasing, even if it's only in some relationships, it causes you not to be as connected to others as you want to be. Now, I've talked with plenty of people over the course of my work with people who are really surprised to find that their friends aren't there for them when they really need them. And why is that? Well, maybe it's because you never expected your friends to be there for you. You're the one solving problems. You're not the one that needs help. And so your friends don't know how to help you. Heck, they probably don't even recognize when you need help, even if you say, I need help, because it's so foreign to their experience of you that it's hard for them to process it. The relationship may never have been that reciprocal, and so they don't know how to show up. And that's one reason why sometimes our friends just aren't there for us the way we want them to be or need them to be. Okay, if you regularly notice any one of these 10 things that I just talked about, consider you might have a habit of people pleasing in that area and it's causing you problems. If you do, great, you've got something you can work on. And most of what I mentioned can be resolved with a little dash of courage, which is just the willingness to try even if things get uncomfortable, and some skill building around communication, boundaries, and asking for what you want. Now, to help you out with your communication, be sure to check out my tip sheet, Saying It Right, Your Guide to Confident Communication. It's free. The link is in the description. Let me know if you generally feel pretty good about your ability to set limits and express yourself, and yet you see yourself in one or more of these 10 problem areas. There might be something that we can do about that. If you got something out of this video, or you know someone who could get something out of this video, be sure and hit the like button so other people can find it and share it with your person who might need it. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you get more videos like this one. Take care and have an amazing week.